What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV, back here for another opposition preview. It's the big London derby on Monday night. Spurs against Chelsea. The return of Maurizio Pochettino. We've got Louis Beneventi here in the studio with us. How you doing, my friend?
Not bad, mate. Pochettino strikes back is what we've titled our pod episode. We've gone full Star Wars, really nerdy.
Talking about Pochettino, what are you thinking about these comments made in the press conference before we get into the most things? Shall we run through the comments first?
Yeah. Yes, but there is one or two bits. I noticed Mr. Romano doing a little bit of a shit stirring. So when I kind of got a little bit pissed off earlier, I've actually had a little bit more of a look, and it turns out that it wasn't 100% true, but I'll be intrigued.
Well, I'll tell you what is 100% true. I've only got a few of the quotes here, and it says, it's a really special to come back after 4 years to a place where we have amazing memories. It's special. I'm not going to lie. When we left the club, it was a difficult moment. It's going to be exciting to be back. I'm not going to say anything because he's talking about the reception that he could potentially get. I can't guess what the reception will be. I want people to know I can't forget the amazing memories we have there. It's going to change. It's not going to change my emotions if I'm booed, or the feelings where I spent an unbelievable journey. And then he went on to saying that he will never manage Arsenal or Barcelona because of his links with Tottenham and Espanyol. Yeah. And he also said, I'm so happy for Postecoglou and happy for the club. They are doing so well 4 years later, and I can't forget what happened there. We are very grateful to be part of the Tottenham history. And he was talking about Spurs are genuine contenders for the league this year, and he's very happy about it.
The back end of that, I'm a bit like, why did you say that? Because he just knows it's going to cause drama and where he is now. But where he's saying Postecoglou's everyone's doing well, most of that I'm like, do you know what? It's fine. Like if he's there saying, you know, we had a great time there, I appreciate it. Obviously, one of the bits that the bridges between some of those quotes where he's saying, look, professional though, we've got stuff to do now. So, you know, that's I think the most important thing there for me. Try not to fall into the trap. I've already seen people trying to compare it to Potter. I'm like, it's just no comparison there whatsoever. But you know, I mean, there's little bits where he is extremely emotive, which I like. But obviously, with that, you have the positives, which is, you know, talking about how you want to fight for every point, go to battle, all that sort of stuff. But then you have the stuff where you do get a little bit soppy. And I say that as a man who experiences that on a daily basis, because I am a passion merchant, and I will admit that.
But let me ask you, if a manager of Spurs said something similar about Arsenal, how would you feel about that?
I want to throw up.
Exactly.
I literally want to throw up. I wouldn't take it kindly, and I think like I'd be like, nah, a Spurs manager could not be saying this about our biggest rivals. This can't be on. Yeah, in my opinion, like,
well, it's
saying he's happy for them being top and wants to see them challenging.
That bit, I'm like, why did you say that? You just know.
You're generally not a tribal guy, right? In terms of like football rivalry and stuff.
I mean,
like that.
I don't like you lot, but that's for my own reasons. Like, what was like my first ever loss as a Chelsea fan growing up, first ever trip to Wembley, first ever cup final. So that's why I hate you lot. But I mean, you know me. I'm not. I will appreciate someone or appreciate a team doing well. Bottom line is he's a football guy, and you know if he's going to say that, fine. But you just know the Chelsea PR team and the media team have got their head in their hands, going, "Why the fuck did you say that? Like, why did you do that?" Because you just know full well. Look, I could go on Twitter now. I guarantee you, it'd be a meltdown straight away. Like, it's that.
But I can understand why. I can really understand why. Because if I try and put myself in that seat, like my brother said about a manager saying that about Arsenal, I would literally want to throw up.
Yeah. Literally everything else about that, apart from that, is fine. That little bit, I'm like, why did you say that?
It's a bit like, you know, when Rafa went to Everton and he's a Liverpool kind of legendary manager, and he like speaks positive about Liverpool. Like the fans, just in the end, when it starts to go wrong, will they hold that against him?
They will. He will. Yeah. He's giving himself rope there, to be honest. And if it does, look, the whole issue we have right now at the club is there's not a very clear project. Again, I'm using that word with the portfolios and all that rubbish. I think with that, it's sort of a case of finding the balance, as you're saying beforehand, where you need to understand the culture of Chelsea. You need to be winning games, but there needs to be an understanding with the whole project thing. But it was saying that with the run we're about to have as well, with I'd say even all the way up to Everton away just before Christmas, because that's never a good hunting ground for us. You know. We could be in serious trouble. You know, we've only won 3 Premier League games. You know, we've got draws, we've lost others, but I'm looking at this as, again, with my football brain, rather than trying to look at it as a Chelsea fan. This whole situation at Chelsea right now, I'm going, right, we are in a bit of between a rock and a hard place. Everything that existed pre-Bowley is gone. Everything. He's got rid of absolutely everything. So with that being said, it's a case of going, okay, well, we're doing things differently. Right, whether we like it or not, fans do not have control. We can talk about how, we are the owners of the club and the owners and custodians, which I think is important to remember. And I do think that Todd Bowley does need to understand that a little bit with, the history and the culture, which, let's be honest, Chelsea over the past 25 years have been the most successful club in England. And there's a reason for that. It was cutthroat. We knew what we needed to be. John Terry was making some amazing points and had some great quotes in the podcast with John Ober Mikel recently, where he was sort of talking about Rafa Benitez as an example when he came to Chelsea. We lost to Manchester City in the Cup. And he went, it's fine. And then in the dressing room, they're going at each other because John Terry's going, that is not acceptable here. We don't just sort of roll over and say, we've got a game next week. That's the problem which we have at the minute, finding that balance. Now, I'm not in the dressing room, so I can't comment on what he's like in there. I can't comment what he's like on the training ground. But with quotes like that, you give yourself rope to hang with in PR, in media, in press, on Twitter, with the people that go every week. As much as we can look there and we think the board might be like going, this is a process, we understand it's going to take time, Poch's going to have the season, all this sort of stuff, which, by the way, he should, irrespective of what happens for me, because if it goes wrong again this year, it shows that it's not the manager's fault. It shows that there's a deeper rooted problem at Chelsea. But overall, the problem is, it's whether or not the ownership and the people in charge can take that heat for this season if it does go wrong. Again, I'm saying if, but maybe. I genuinely don't think it can go as badly as it did last year, because you can already see there's small tweaks being made in how they're running things. But, I mean, you don't know. But stuff like that is just problems.
Just a quick one on you saying you don't think it goes badly as last year.
Yeah.
Well, this time last season, after 10 games, you were on 20 points and you were 4th in the league. This time, after 10 games, you're 12th. How many points you on? Let me just check. Sorry, internet's a bit slow, but right now you're 12th in the league and you're on 12 points. You're 8 points worse off at the same point this season as you were last season.
I think it's this. The difference is this year, I think, is kind of where, like I said, the expectations are slightly less because we kind of understand what they're trying to do better now because they've been a little bit clearer. Still not clear enough. Still don't have the full understanding, as I said earlier, but there is more evidence if ever going to look, this is going to take longer. And also we have to bear in mind, this is a completely different group of players, a completely different group of people. And I'm looking at this like, we've got to look at it with the football brain. I'm right, look at it as much as I can. Now, this is a really, really young squad who don't know how to deal with a lot of situations yet, which is why I talk about, despite spending nearly 900 million, obviously over $1 billion with add-ons, but that's just lazy commentary. That, but over 900 million in terms of player transfers, we still need to make a few additions, which is nuts to show. And it goes to show that there is a problem in terms of understanding the transfer strategies and how football works. Really, obviously, we can talk about amortised fees, but that can come back to bite us if we don't do well enough. But this squad needs a lot, and it needs time, and it's something which we just kind of have to deal with.
But is he going to be afforded that time? Because we saw, what happened with Potter. Lampard was just,
Lampard was a PR stuff.
Yeah, he just came in for the end of the season and stuff like that. But historically at Chelsea, you don't give your managers the time that they need to do the job. But it is a completely new era now. Roman has gone, the kind of win now mentality where you bring in a manager, you give him exactly what he wants, and you go and win that title. Right now, it's completely different. You're going in a completely different direction to what you were in. Do you feel like that will work for Chelsea? And will the fans, and more specifically Todd Bowley, give them the time that they need?
Todd Bowley is put himself in that position where he has to do it. Because if he doesn't do it,
but that's what we said under Potter, though.
I think Potter was a different situation. Pochettino comes into Chelsea with a proven track record, whereas Graham Potter came in as the new hot thing on the block. Graham Potter, I think the best analogy I can give of him at Chelsea in just Premier League terms, it was like when Brendan Rodgers went to Liverpool. You know, it looks like somebody can make that step up who can really make a difference, but realistically, it was just out of their depth. I don't think Pochettino's out of his depth at Chelsea. He's proven in the past he can deal with the top end of the table. He's proven that as well at PSG. We can talk about what happened in that season when Lille won the league, whatever, but let's be honest, PSG is a basket case of a club as it is, but he did well to do what he did there, in my opinion.
He actually did better than Tuchel, didn't he?
Exactly. Yeah. But, you know, with that being said, you know, there has to be a balance struck. We do need to improve performances against teams where, on paper, we should be getting through a low block. But that just goes to show, despite the amount of money we spent, we still don't have all the tools because we don't have experience in that team whatsoever. In my eyes, you know, we can talk about Reece James obviously being there, or we can talk about Thiago Silva, but look, Thiago Silva cannot carry a team on his own. It's physically impossible. Again, we obviously in our combined 11, we talked about that amazing squad you had, where you had, you know, Alvarado, Lloris, Vertonghen. You had senior players. We don't have any of that, which just goes to show that the very limited understanding within this football structure at the minute, where they're saying we need to sign senior players.
You do have a few sprinkled around, you know, the Thiago Silvas and the Raheem Sterlings. That's it. That's literally Reece James.
I mean, yeah, but then even Reece James,
Chilwell.
Reece James is 23, 24. Chilwell's 26. Like, Chilwell's kind of one of the ones where you've seen firsthand. I think a good example where I was worried beforehand, the Brighton game in the cup. You know, the way he picked up Mykhailo Mudryk a lot, I thought was excellent. But still, you know, we don't have any big characters, big true leaders. But then I think you can say that a lot about modern football now. I don't think there are many out there anymore in the terms of the spirit that we'd expect. I think you look at Arsenal, I don't think there are very many. I mean, you guys obviously talking about Coutinho Romero and all that sort of stuff, but outside of that, I don't really know. I mean, Manchester United, how long you got? I mean, that's a mess in it as it is. But, you know, in terms of elite level, we talk about, you know, passion merchants and all that sort of stuff. I don't think there are many of those about anymore. But I feel like, to be honest, what Chelsea needs more Thiago Silva, needs more of an injection of life, of understanding of the game, of sort of just being able to turn around and go, okay, well, if you can't do this, we'll help you grow and develop, but I'm still going to come in and push you.
It's almost like a complete unknown recently for Chelsea fans, because different caliber of player. You're going for young players, up and coming players that could potentially be good in a couple of years' time for the most part. Do Chelsea fans look at it, and do they look at it seeing like there is an end goal here? They can see the bigger picture, or is it still like, oh, look, if we don't start winning now, this guy's got to go?
I think it's a balance. I think you've got, if I'm being honest, you've got the people who actually understand the sport, who appreciate that it is going to take longer, purely because that's what they're going with. You know, that is what we've got right now. And then you've got, I think, children and people who, quite frankly, don't have a Scooby about football at all, going, well, this is what Chelsea is. That's the entitlement that cost Arsenal for years. That's the entitlement that cost Liverpool for years. Need to get out of that mindset. This is not, I get the whole we are Chelsea thing, and there does need to be an element of that. There does need to be like, I'll go and look, this isn't a clean slate. You know, Todd Bowley, you didn't buy Newcastle. You didn't come in before Roman brought Chelsea. Sort of like, look, Chelsea were nearly there, but, you know, we weren't going to be challenging for titles. We weren't going to be the dominant force we became without Roman Abramovich. I'm not going to sit here and say that's not the case. But, you know, unfortunately, they seem to be, this ownership's come in. This is just my opinion. I don't speak for everybody. But I look at it and they've gone, you know, it's a brand new project. All of this beforehand doesn't matter. Get rid of that. And this is what we're going to do. And I'm kind of going, you need to appreciate what's been built there already as a foundation, and then put your own thought process on it slowly and develop it correctly. What they've done is they've just gone, right, fuck that, do this. It's
kind of like the opposite of what Spurs were trying to do, because we sacked Pochettino, right, when we were going through that kind of thing, you know, buying young players, trying to make them into stars. Then we completely flipped it, tried to go for Jose, Conte, these kind of win-now managers, without really backing them like a win-now manager. But Chelsea have done it the opposite way around.
Yeah, I think look, the whole structure is different at Chelsea, and we just have to realise that is the case. But the ownership also needs to realise, okay, we can't just go and look at 4-year projections. You know, they need to look at it like we were saying again in the, you know, combined 11. You guys could go out and make a big signing, which I know is very out of character, but, you know, just an example, you can make a big signing, Liverpool could, City could, and it will completely change the dynamic of the league at that end of the table. But then they'll be there plodding along, doing their own thing. there does need to be little dribs and drabs of proven quality there to help these players reach that potential. It's all well and good, looking at data and picking people up, but if we keep chopping and changing strategies and doing this and doing that, those players are never going to reach their full potential or get to that development. Yeah. You're going to have to deal with it, but then add those proven bits of quality to help them grow and help the team develop, and also be winning, so that, by the way, when these players do reach that potential, if Chelsea is still in Europa League, Europa Conference, mid-table, because we've not really improved that much, they'll be gone. They'll be there going, well, why are we here? We signed up to build the club up to where they feel it should be. But if they don't do that, then that's a problem. That's 4 years is a long time in football.
Let's talk about what's going on the pitch then, apart from, on the boardroom level. And Chelsea obviously currently sit 11th after 10 games with 3 wins, 13 goals scored, sitting on 12 points. But, a lot of fans have pointed out, if you look at the underlying stats, I think you've won 9 of your 10 games on expected goals. So you're doing that. Yeah. In terms of the overarching metrics in the Premier League season, I think you're very near the top 4, I think, passes and possession, chances created, that kind of stuff.
That doesn't really matter, Sim.
So I'm asking, when you're watching, but obviously I haven't watched every Chelsea game, but I have watched a few. But when you're looking at the eye test, a lot of fans are saying, look at the stats, the underlying numbers are positive, and if you keep going in this way, results will turn. But when you're, as a Chelsea fan who watches every game, what does the eye test tell you from what you're seeing on the pitch?
We're playing well. We're getting better every week.
Like you play well in just 45-minute spurts. Like first half great, second half terrible, and it's like a consistent theme.
It's I think that the biggest thing I like is the first 25 minutes for me. We are unplayable. Are we playing? Like, wow, okay, we're looking good here. Right, let's see what's going on. But then I don't know if you saw a tweet. I've given the blueprint on how to beat Chelsea Football Club. Step 1, sit in a low block. Step 2, frustrate for 60 odd minutes. Step 3, score a header from the back post.
That was the Brentford blueprint, wasn't it?
Brentford, Forest, Villa. I mean, it's like West Ham. There's, like I'm saying, this team doesn't have certain assets and it doesn't know how to deal with certain situations. But we play well, or we do okay, and then something just doesn't work out. You have that bit of luck that doesn't go your way, which was, I think, a big thing last year. We just had nothing. I'm not talking about referees. I'm just talking about in general. You'd hit the post, or something wouldn't go right, or there'd be an odd bobble, and it would just completely discombobulate the entire team. I think the West Ham game, as an example, Enzo Fernandez scores that penalty. It's a completely different game. Because I think this is a team that relies heavily on confidence. Arsenal game is a great example of that. We play against a side which plays very open. We'll take the game to you, and it'll be a very good game of football, and we can show what we're capable of. But then at the same time, that game, we were cruising for 75 minutes. One bad lapse of concentration, one mistake from Sanchez, and all of their heads just drop. And if that game had gone on for another 10 minutes, I genuinely think we'd have lost that. So
we spoke about that in the combined 11 about Sanchez is playing out the back and how that could be maybe an avenue for Spurs to really try and be really aggressive in that area of the pitch, right? Is that really worrying you then with how you look at Spurs and how they're doing this season and how many goals we've scored from those kind of situations?
I mean, yeah, it's definitely something to consider. But again, I think you look at that week that Sanchez made that mistake, as much as I'm saying it really affects us. A lot of keepers made that mistake that week because everyone's trying to play out from the back. But unfortunately, where, for example, we did that against Brighton and we got away with it, we did against Blackburn, we got away with it because the teams weren't clinical enough. Against Arsenal, against you guys, as you said, the amount of goals you scored in those positions, that can be a problem. I think, let's say 75th minute mark, I appreciate you've got to play out from the back sometimes, but if you're 2-0 up cruising, just get rid of the ball. Just football basics. It doesn't always need to be, let's play really pretty football. The big thing is for me, if you're winning a game, you're 2-0 up or whatever, 2-0 is a funny old score as it is. But if you're in a good position, just do what you need to do to see the game out. And guess what? I'll take the bollocking from the goalkeeper coach who's telling me to play out from the back. If he goes, why do you play out from the back? Well, because we were 2-0 up and I wasn't confident that we'd pick it up. So, Sanchez's ball playing ability isn't great. But again, like I said in the combined 11, he's not going to be our first choice for ages. He's going to be someone who's a stop back until someone comes on the market that is going to really, really take us to an elite level, hopefully.
Looking at all the money that you spent, especially this summer, if you take an overview of your squad, if you're looking at your squad just like in the bigger picture, Are you like really happy with like the team you've got and the squad that you've got, or do you think you're again, if results continue in the way they're going, you know, after, you know, he spent a lot of money when he first came in, Bowley. He pretty much ripped up after 6 months and spent a whole bunch of money in January. That didn't go well, so he then again ripped it up again and spent a whole bunch of money this summer. If results don't improve quickly, is he a risk of ripping it all up again in January and going again, or do you look at your squad and go, I think we got a really good squad here and we just got to stick with it?
He can't afford to. Because if he keeps doing that, it's just going to be a cycle, a vicious cycle, which we're not going to get out of.
But do you like the squad?
I like it. I like the quality we have. There are some really exciting players. You know, I really love watching Mykhailo Mudryk. I think he's a player which, again, he thrives on confidence, but over the past few games, he's really come on leaps and bounds. He's one of the very few players I look at now who I think really gets me up off my seat in world football in general, personally. Cole Palmer being the same. But, you know, he can't afford to just rip it up. What if he's going to make any signings now, if they make any in January, they make any in the summer, it has to be just really intelligent older heads. It doesn't need to be, I'm not talking like players which are going to come into the first 11 and completely tear up. You might need maybe one or two. I think I'm looking at the midfield. I think, to be honest, I'm quite happy with that, but maybe it'd be nice to have just someone who could come off the bench. I think I was screaming for it in the summer. I'd have loved to send James Ward-Prowse at Chelsea, specifically for games where we had these low blocks, where we struggle to break people down, where you can bring on the equivalent of like an NFL kicker and just be like, right, here's a set piece on a sixpence every single time. That I'd like to have an older head up front, and maybe at centre back, I'd love to see someone who, you know, is that 27, 28, just someone who's fit, could come straight in and is experienced in dealing with high level situations. And I know people are going to be looking at that, and I can already hear the typing in the comments going, you've already spent this much money. Yeah, welcome to football, mate. Unfortunately, this is the hole that Chelsea.
Not welcome to football, welcome to Chelsea FC.
Yeah.
But you know, I kind of look at the squad, and I appreciate Chelsea got some quality there, and I don't think you have a bad squad, don't get me wrong. But I look at the money you've spent, I'm like, where has this money gone? I'm just looking at your squad. I'm like, you spent that much money, and that's what you're left with.
Amortised fees, mate. It's all really intelligent transfers.
I just look at how you've spent nearly 500 million this summer, and I'm looking at your squad. I'm like, that is what you're left with after 500 million. Is that it?
It's the old amortised fees, really intelligent long-term transfers, and you know, great for the portfolio and players we can sell on in the future. Shut up.
I do think it will look a lot better once Nkunku's in the team, and once you get a player that can actually put the ball in the back of the net.
Well, that's a big thing. You know, we have. I don't like using injuries as an excuse. It's not. It's something which obviously does affect the teams, but you know, we do need someone who can put the ball in the back of the net. And you know, having said that, though, Nkunku, he's not really a centre forward, is he? He's someone who plays off of somebody.
Pretty like false nine.
Yeah, exactly. So with that, I look at the wings and go, right, where's the goals coming from there?
But you've got like Sterling, who consistently got over, you know, loads of goals for Man City. Yeah. You've got him there who can put the ball. Jackson got goals last season.
Raheem Sterling. Look, Jackson, if you look at the stats, he scored all his goals.
Many goals, did he?
He scored 7 goals at the back end of the season. So he had a purple patch, which makes it look really pretty. Raheem Sterling is one of the most senior players in that squad, but still plays like a kid. I don't know. Like I look at that. The last game he played against Blackburn, I look at how Mudryk's been playing. I look at how Cole Palmer's been playing. Sterling does not start for me unless he goes down. Unless it's, for example, like that Arsenal game. You have Cole Palmer down the middle, and Sterling has that confidence. But the fact that Sterling was struggling with confidence against Blackburn Rovers, all due respect, you know, this is side in the Championship, a mid-table of the Championship at that. He should have gone into that game going, right, I'm going to score 2, 3, 4, 5 goals and just go for it.
Didn't he score?
He scored. No, but this is what I mean. No. This is what I mean. He scored, and then all of a sudden his head's up and he's playing like he should have been playing from the first minute. It covers up a lot of issues. Like that's my big thing. You've got a player there who's got seniority, who regularly got the figures. I think you look at how he played in that City team. He played with confidence because of the players he had around him. Right now, that squad's, I don't know, like Jackson just has no confidence. It's the curse of the Chelsea striker once again, coming back to haunt us. Sterling is a confidence player, but I'm being honest, at that age and what he's been doing for the past 10 years, he shouldn't be that. He should be a leader in that team going, this is what we need to do. And I do think sometimes he doesn't do that enough. But again, like I said, he's not a vocal leader. And there are certain elements of it where it does need to get better. There was a really interesting interview today with Caicedo and Enzo talking about what they were expecting, how they want to grow. And they seem to have their heads screwed on, which is great. Levi Colwell was another one, young player, head screwed on. Mudryk, for me, again, like I said, he's a confidence player, but once he gets going, you see the quality he brings. But the whole, the reason it's 500 million, it's like there's obviously all those add-ons and all that sort of stuff. So it's not actually 500, but I'm not trying to say it's still not stupid money we spent. But I do question how they've done it and why they've done it in the way they have. Like, I'll be sitting there and they're going, we've signed this really good player. I'm like, how old is he? 12. Oh, for fuck's sake. Why have we done that again? Oh, well, we're looking for the future. Yeah, but it's all well and good looking in 4 years' time. But if you don't succeed in the next 18 months, 2 years, in some way, shape or form, I'm not talking challenging for league titles, but if you don't see an improvement, that is completely redundant, because all the players that are here that are going to be there then are not going to want to be there. They're going to be going somewhere else. It's like, it's basics.
I want to get your opinion as well on Pochettino, because a lot of fans have been pointing out that his messaging has been changing over the season. Because when he first came, he said, projects don't exist. He said that, Chelsea's a club where you have to come in and win immediately. And he said that when he first joined.
And now he's saying he loves Spurs.
And now he's saying he loves Spurs. But he was about a few weeks ago, maybe it was a couple of weeks ago, he said, look, it's a project. Things are going to take time. You've got a lot of young players. So do you think he's contradicting himself? Or do you understand the change in messaging? Or do you think maybe I've missed something and the message hasn't changed and it's been consistent?
I'd say it's a little bit of all three, to be honest. Look, again, I'll go back to the phrasing of being a football guy. I get the change in messaging, and because I don't just look at the 11 blokes on the pitch and Pochettino. I understand that there's a lot from the top trickling down where they're talking about their project and all this sort of stuff and bloody money ball bollocks. I appreciate why he might have gone, right, okay, I'm going to have to deal with this now, because things can change very quickly. But he still, does talk about going, look, we've got a job to do, boys, and we need to step up. He does talk about all of that in all his press conferences, how they improve. But again, I still find it nuts that I'm having to say that we don't have all the tools with the money we spent, because of this whole model, which our co-sport directors have done, which, by the way, they're also two people I feel who are incredibly out of their depth. But Brighton was the place to go to get.
I don't understand why you didn't bring in Paul Mitchell.
Do you know what, Ben?
At Spurs.
You and me both, mate. You and me both. I was looking at going, we'll have him, and then he's wanted to do his own consultancy now. So I think
apparently he might be going to Man United, is what I'm hearing.
It changes with him every 6 months. He's going here, he's going there, he's going on sabbatical, he's going on holiday. He's getting a nose job in Turkey. I don't know. Wherever it is, it's like.
But a player I wanted to talk to you about, who you signed in the summer, and it raised a few eyebrows with the price that you signed him at, 45 million, Cole Palmer from Man City. I'm looking at him, and he's like the best player in your team by far at the moment.
I absolutely love watching him. It's you talk about players that play with no fear and are really trying to push people forward. Cole Palmer's that for us. 45 million, I was arching an eyebrow as well. The limited minutes he has was going, interesting. Why have we done that? But when he plays for us, look, he's a player I feel is going to be with us for a long time, and that fee will pay for itself eventually. But he just plays with such confidence. He has a real spring in his step whenever he gets the ball. He's always looking to go forward. There's no messing about with him, really. And if he's not passing the ball forward, he's winning a foul in an important area, or he's putting the ball in the right place. Brentford game, another example. All these games where I said we're not winning and we're playing well, a lot of it's been down to him. He's put the balls in all the right place, but we've not had someone who can put it in the back of the net, or the positioning hasn't quite been right, or there's been something that's just not quite there. But Cole Palmer has been an amazing bright spot this season. I've been so impressed with how he's been playing. Yeah, me as well, to be fair. I mean, he's probably the one shining light in your team at the moment, or one of. That's one of. There's a few, but I get why people might look at Chelsea right now and be going, why is that the case? But again, it's kind of one of those where I feel like if you've not watched the team week in, week out, and you don't quite see certain things, you're not going to get it. But it's the same with, you guys when Poch was first there. I remember we were speaking about it a few days ago. There's one or two bits that just need to click, I think we've already had one in the midfield where, for example, we were playing Enzo Fernandez as a number 10, Conor Gallagher deep, but that wasn't working. As soon as we switched that around, we've seen our midfield gel a lot more, look a lot better. You know, it's little things here and there where if we just get the right little bits, we'll be okay. But there's a lot of things which need to be done. The problem we have is we've got an ownership and a team and loads of departments at the club where we're all learning on the job rather than going, okay, we have someone who knows what they're doing there. I think a good example I look at when Abramovich did take over Chelsea, he went straight to Manchester United and got Peter Kenyon, who knew how everything worked, who knew what it took to do certain things. We went into it and went and signed 17 million technical directors because we're going to go, right, we're going to do this, but then at the same time we're going to buy 14 other clubs and do this and make this whole network. And I'm like, okay, well, by the way, guys, you still not got this first bit right, so why are you getting 5 million people to do this bit? You know, let's just get the first things right, get the wheels in motion. It's not a mess. You can see what they're trying to do. I do think they should have done it differently, but again, I'm just the opinion of one man. I'm not someone who's going to speak on behalf of people and say this is what we should be doing. But I just feel that things could have been done in a far more intelligent, measured way, rather than, if I'm going to be honest, the very stereotypical American, all guns blazing, fuck you attitude, we're going to do this, which took the US into Iraq in 2003. So you know that's what I'm worried about there.
Talk to me about Tottenham, because before the season started, Ange comes in, Harry Kane leaves, and everyone's thinking, well, what's Spurs going to do this season? Another mid-table finish, something like that. Nobody could have expected the start that Spurs have had this season. And it's kind of a bit similar to maybe the start that Arsenal had last season, right? Because no one thought Arsenal could go and challenge for a title or even be up there or anywhere close. There may be a top 4 finish. But they went and they had an unbelievable first half of the season. And that kind of was their springboard to go and challenge for the title when it all fell apart in April. Do you feel like there is similarities to that? Do you feel like Spurs could go for a title challenge this year? Or are people just getting a bit too ahead of themselves at the moment?
I'm not sure. I just feel like there's DNA thing in Spurs where you guys need to get over this hump of Spursiness. You know, that if you get
from
over
what you've seen so far.
It's too early to say. I think you've been playing great football. I think the way that Spurs have been playing, I think, has been fantastic. There's an element, as you mentioned, that Spurs have been a mid-table team. Harry Kane's gone. You brought in Ange Pochettino. What the fuck? It's like you guys haven't had as much pressure as I think anyone would have maybe. Well, you haven't had as much pressure as people expected at all. To be honest, there was nothing on Spurs. It was right. They'll go do this, and then I feel like Ange's come in, thrived on that and gone, right, they don't think we're going to do this. That's all right. Let them do it. We'll just go do our thing. It's fine. And there's obviously been a certain swagger to it. And it just helps that he's just so lovely to people all the time. But before we even talk about titles and all that stuff, you've got to see what happens when you guys have a bad patch.
Yeah, 100%.
Because you've not had one yet. Soon, if there's a bad patch and you get through it, I don't think you'd win the title this year. I can't be bothered to look past Man City anymore. It's just like, just forget it. Like, it's just not going to happen. Man City, February will come around and go, so that time of year, guys, we're a few points off. And no, it'll be that they just sort of go, right, we'll just turn it on and then walk the league. So it's like.
So forget the title then for a second, but like from an outsider looking in, like how do you assess Tottenham and what are the biggest differences you're seeing?
I think it's a more cohesive unit rather than relying so heavily on one man. I think that's a big thing. You think about how you played with Kane. He'd be coming deep, collecting the ball, then going up the under the pitch. And then
like now we've got 2 players to do Kane's job. You got Madison to create, and you got Son to finish.
It's almost like that should be what the situation is in the first place. But you know, the whole thing is like the team seems far more cohesive. There's more of a unit rather than relying so heavily on 1 or 2 players. That's what I see in that Spurs team. But if you don't win a trophy this year, I'd kind of look at that and go, okay, fine. You know, that's semi.
Yeah, I don't think it's a problem if we don't win a trophy this year. First year with a new manager, new philosophy, new squad, you know. Things are going great.
But this is it. But then as soon as it's the development process. I was speaking to an Arsenal fan earlier where they were talking about Arteta, how good he is. I was like, okay, but you've had a process now for 4 or 5 years. and you talk about how, well, we're going to win the league this year. Yeah, but, Man City. Yeah, but that's City. It's like, okay, there's not a Man City are the only team in the league and then we win the rest of the table. It's like the XG stats and all that. You colour a picture with those.
Mm-hmm.
You don't use those as things to live and die by, which is one thing I think you speak to actual statisticians like Opta or people that work within the club who do all the statistics. They're tearing their hair out because journalists and fans use field tilt and XG completely wrong. But having said that, I think that Spurs, this is the beginning of another project, and we can talk about your team under Poch as much as we like, but they didn't win anything. When people talk like, "Oh, that Spurs team, great team, X, Y, Z, blah 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 blah." Same with Arsenal. If they're in this process stage where they're like, "Oh, but Arteta's great. Oh, look at this great young team currently going through the 7 stages of grief with Kai Havertz saying he's a great player. Lads, I hate to inform you, he's fucking shit." But apart from that, it's a case of they need to win something. You guys are at that early stage now.
At least he's still got that FA Cup. He won in his first season.
Where Anthony Taylor absolutely shafted us. Yes, absolutely.
If Poch does at Chelsea what he did at Spurs, would he have failed?
100%.
I'd say so.
He would have failed.
I'd say
100%.
I think again, this is where I talk.
So if he takes a team that finished 12th into some title challenges and Champions League final, you're saying he would have failed?
Yes, because again, I'll be brutally honest.
He wouldn't have done a good job.
But this is where I talk about the culture thing before.
Come on, it's ridiculous to say.
But this is why we're talking about culture, mate. This is why I'm saying, like, I appreciate why people are saying Chelsea's win, Chelsea's that. I'm not saying that's the case. We have to do everything, and we need to win the league titles.
His remit is to win.
But the remit. Chelsea has that philosophy and that culture, which does need to trickle into what we're doing now. But all due respect to you guys, Levy didn't have that. Spurs have not had that for years. You've not been a team which has been, let's be honest, at the top level for a long time. You've not. And when you have got there, because of that culture, we talk about that Pochettino team, you've fallen at that final hurdle every time. Now it's a case of going, okay,
but
that's
look
what
at the
I'm
mess
saying.
you're in. You're finishing mid-table. You're finishing 12th last season. You're currently 12th.
Sort out that mess.
Yeah, and he would have sorted it out by getting them competitive.
No. There's a difference between being competitive and winning.
Right now, you're not even competitive.
No, but yeah, I know.
Right
now, that's what I'm saying. This philosophy of Chelsea as a winning club needs to trickle into what we're doing and needs to be understood.
So did Lampard fail when he got you top 4 that season?
Well, that's a completely different situation.
Why? Why is that different? His job is not to win?
Because his job at that point was actually just to make sure Chelsea survived.
And is that not Pochettino's job now to improve you? You're a mess right now.
Sim. There's a difference, but like I'm saying, there's a difference between competing and surviving and winning. No one will remember the team that finishes 2nd and 3rd if a team does so well. No one gives a shit about them. I don't care about finishing 2nd one year. If we finish 2nd, I go, cool, okay, that's a step forward. But I don't want to be finishing 2nd. I want us to be going and challenging. But I appreciate right now Chelsea not in a position. If he gets us there and competing and he helps us in that process, then he has not failed. If it ends up just being Chelsea being a bottle job team, which, by the way, I will say we have been in 3 FA Cup finals, we're the only team to use 3 FA Cup finals on the spin, so that is a problem in that, where that culture and that mentality needs to go. But Chelsea has a history of winning trophies. I don't care what anyone says about it, it's just been the Roman era in 25 years. Like I said, 25 years is a long time. 6 months of football is a long time. As long as there's a development in the next year or two, with me, I'm looking at Poch going, as long as you keep moving forward, but it's not...
That's what I'm
12th.
saying.
No. But I'm not saying we finished 12th and then we finished 10th. I'm going, cool.
That's not what he did at Tottenham.
No, but what we're saying is he got you to a certain point. He approved you lot. Granted.
Got us to a title challenge and Champions League final.
Yeah, but did you win, Sim?
No, we didn't win.
Exactly.
But
you
you just sat here saying if he improves us, then fine.
Yeah,
but I'm saying if he gets into a title challenge and doesn't win it, you're saying he's failed.
Yeah, but the way you're saying it, and correct me if I'm wrong, but this is how it's coming across to me, is you're talking about like it's a be all and end all. If he makes you competitive, it's fine. No, because that's not what Chelsea is. But this is what I'm saying about the mentality at Tottenham, which is what
you just said you'd accept improvement.
Yeah, but there's improvement. I'm talking improvement, which will will see something at the end of it.
You said if he challenges, then fine.
But getting to a Champions League final and finishing second is not
Do you know
getting
how
to
far
something
away
at the end.
you are right now from a Champions League final? Do you know how good you have to be to get you from right now
we've won it
to a
twice.
Champions League final?
Yeah, because we've won it twice.
Irrelevant.
No, it's not irrelevant because that's what I'm saying. That's the culture.
Do you know
of the
how
club.
good of a manager you have to be to get for Chelsea where Chelsea are now to get them to a stage not only where they're in the Champions League but getting them to a final? And you're saying if Pochettino does that, he would have failed. And
what I'm saying, if he won't have failed if he actually instills something there and he gets there.
You're basically asking, you're saying he's not Guardiola, he's failed.
Hang on.
Yeah, but when all things are said and done at the end of it, right, and Pochettino leaves Chelsea and all he's done is made them competitive and finished second or third in the league and got to a Champions League final and lost it. No Chelsea fan are going to look back on that being like, oh, wow, Poch was so successful at Chelsea.
Yeah, why not? Because he inherited an absolute shit show and he's made them into an actual good team and competitive, which no manager's been able to do.
Let me use an example of Chelsea to get into where they were, right? Every manager since Glenn Hoddle, you'd say all the way up to 2012, right? Every manager was appreciated. Certain managers appreciate more than others. I think if I take just one small segment of that history, because Glenn Hoddle was the real reason we got to where we were in 2012. Historically, there's a lot that happened in that period. But you take Ranieri at the beginning of that Abramovich era, and you take Mourinho, right? We appreciate what Ranieri did. Ranieri really helped us sort of really start getting those wheels in motion. But guess what? Mourinho's the one that won the title, so no one's going to remember Ranieri as much. You appreciate, but then you look at what happened. If Pochettino's job, right, if he gets us to a certain point and someone comes in and we win something, fine. You can go, do you know what? We appreciate what he's done. He's really helped us in that whole process. But if then he does something and he wins as well, brilliant. But there's levels of appreciation. His job is to sort of make Chelsea not only competitive, but be looking with the whole point of this amortised fee, these investments, all of that is purely because they want to be more competitive and be winning things, not just be thereabouts. They want to be there and be sort of going, it's Chelsea and Man City, or it's Chelsea, Liverpool, Man City, Newcastle. Because obviously, football's changed a lot in 25 years since Mourinho's first stint. There's not a top 4, not a top 3. It's a top 8, realistically. So it is a lot harder. But it's being competitive at top end of that top 8, which is what the aim is.
Correct.
But it's not just being competitive. You need to be going there and it's sort of running close and actually winning titles. You talk about the Liverpool team where they talk about, we ran City close. Yeah, they ran City close, but Klopp's been remembered and will be remembered as one of Liverpool's most successful coaches because guess what? He won things at the same time. It's not just, we got thereabouts, great. Chelsea, like I said, as much as right now they've got this whole project mentality, there does need to be an understanding of what has been before, and that somehow, and I don't know how, because I'm not in the club.
But you're not that. You've just admitted you're not that club anymore. You're changing your philosophy.
I know. Well, let me finish. The whole point of what I'm saying is, you've got that philosophy that they want, but you've got the history of Chelsea. There needs to be a way where you can marry it up, and it is possible. That is possible, but Pochettino's job is obviously, look, I don't want to talk about 8 years from now. As long as he's actually making us very competitive and gets to the point, which is what we brought him in for, because he's an elite coach, fine, but he does need to win things. Because guess what? That is what Chelsea's about. When you start being competitive, it's like, cool, okay, you've got us where Chelsea, again, without sounding entitled, should be. I use should in quotes because no one should be anywhere. But that's what Chelsea want to be and what they have been for many, many years. But then, okay, we don't just want to be competitive where he's winning cups. We want to be there every single year, really pushing people. But then you get the trophies alongside it as well, because it is far more competitive. But it can't just be, we got there. Oh, cheers, mate. We got thereabouts. There is a level to it.
All right, Monday night. What are you thinking?
You're going to batter us. Look, I'm not expecting anything. I'll take a point.
Yeah?
I'll take a point.
Yeah. At that stage, you're not that confident of getting a result.
I look like we're talking about baby steps and that sort of stuff, and where Chelsea should brackets or quote be, but right.
To be fair though, like the big games that you've played this season, the Arsenal game, the Liverpool game, you performed well in both those games and didn't lose.
If teams open up against us, I do think that the game can be interesting. It can mean that there's going to be something going on, and you aren't going to sit in a low block.
No.
That's not how you play your football. You're going to come to us, and
we actually have a very strong defensive structure.
Yeah. And ironically, despite our results, so do we. Our defense isn't too bad either. But we'll have to see. I've predicted a Desmond That's mainly because I just love being able to say I'd love a Desmond. Who doesn't love a Tutu? But you know, I think overall it's just a case of I'm a natural pessimist, as you both very well know. So, you know, if we get a draw, brilliant. If we win, I'll probably be running through the street naked, which no one wants to see. But you know,
picture the scene, Louis. At the end of the game, Spurs have won. The Spurs fans break into song "He's Magic," you know, Maurizio Pochettino, and he's clapping the Spurs fans to say goodbye and thank you for the memories. What would your reaction be?
I did buy a toaster the other day, so I've got one spare. So if that's the case, I'll just hop in the bath and you won't be hearing it again.
I thought you said you're going to chuck a toaster in. That's what I thought you meant.
Would Chelsea fans, if that specific thing happened, would Chelsea fans want him sacked?
There will be a large group, I think, that would be like, what the fuck are you doing? And they'll be going, oh God. You can say what they want, but I think realistically as well, when people say sack Pochettino, which some have already said, which is insane, my argument will always be, who'd you have in? And they'll go, oh, Zinedine Zidane. Yeah, what's he done with projects?
Well, yeah, go get Ruben Amorim.
Yeah, let's go get another class.
Ten Hag's going to be available too.
Yeah, sure, we're going to play. It was a tactic. Yeah, no, thanks, mate.
Did you give your prediction?
Desmond.
2-2.
All right. Well, that is Louis. Louis, tell the people where they can find you before we end the show.
So I'm actually uploading again. I know, surprise. It's the yearly time of the comeback. So I'll be on my channel, so the preview with the boys as well over there, and more stuff coming. But at the moment as well, big thing I'm doing, I've done the Chelsea Echo podcast, which has got TikTok Tobes and Tom Masters, two fantastic guys, and myself. And we are just three idiots who talk about Chelsea, but we're also one of the very few fan outlets. I think actually might be the only one at Chelsea that actually gets access into the press areas and gives you a look inside the club, as well as being three dickheads who just talk about football. None of the Twitter tactical nonsense. You don't need it. Just football. It's great.
Louis, thanks for coming on, mate.
Appreciate it, man.
Hopefully you don't have that smile on your face Monday night.
Oh, I'm always smiling, mate. I'm always smiling.
But we'll see you all. We'll see you all very soon. We're doing another opposition preview on Louis' channel. So go and check that out. Like, subscribe, and comment. And as always,
come on, you Spurs.
No.